Karen,
Yes.
remember when we thought that enlightenment just meant drinking green juice and meditating until your leg fell asleep?
Well, I mean, I kind of didn't think that, but yes. Yes.
Right? I thought everybody thought that, right? Well, it turns out that we were thinking way too small. Yeah. Today's guest doesn't just talk about raising consciousness, she changes people at the cellular level.
Ooh.
We're talking about someone who can literally transform living organisms at the cellular level.
So your leg won't fall asleep.
I hadn't thought about that. That's a good point. I have to ask her about it. But she also transforms non-living materials at the atomic level.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm talking like I just changed the structure of matter with my mind kind of stuff.
Wow.
Interesting stuff, right? She's been studied more than your browser history with a lot less judgment.
Boy. Clear those cookies.
And with over 660 peer-reviewed studies that show her divine blessings can spark real changes in health, happiness, and even blood chemistry.
Ooh.
Get ready for the conversation that might just flip your understanding of consciousness and your mitochondria on its blissful little head. So have you ever wondered what happens when you mix quantum mechanics, a spiritual master, and a lab coat? Well, get ready, because this might be the first episode where listening could accidentally evolve your DNA. Let's go meet that woman who's turning skeptics to spreadsheets and blowing the minds of scientists and souls alike one atom at a time. This is the Skeptic Metaphysicians.
My name is Will.
And I'm Karen.
And unlike Mulder and
we
Scully,
both want to believe.
so we've embarked on a journey of discovery.
We've talked to people deeply entrenched in the spiritual and metaphysical world.
We've thrown ourselves into weird and wonderful experiences. I even joined a coven of witches.
And wait, you joined a coven?
Yep, all in the interest of finding something
Anything.
that will prove that there's something beyond this physical,
three-dimensional world we all live in.
This is the Skeptic Metaphysicians.
Hey there, I'm Will.
And I'm Karen.
Welcome back to another cellular, moving, transformational episode of the Skeptic Metaphysicians.
Woo!
Today's guest is Dahryn Trivedi, an enlightened master and internationally recognized spiritual leader who brings together science, consciousness, and the divine in a way that few ever have. I didn't have enough hands, so I had to use my
Did
feet.
you have a hole in those socks? though?
Hope not. I should have checked that before I did that. Anyway, she serves as a guide and force of Divine Connection International, a nonprofit on a mission to improve the human condition through scientifically validated divine blessings.
Wow.
Is this right up my alley or what?
Right up your alley.
Alongside her husband and guru, Guruji Mahendra Trivedi, and I know I just butchered that name and I'm so sorry, she spearheaded over 6,000 scientific experiments, resulting in more than 670 peer-reviewed publications recognized by top institutions like Harvard, MIT, and Oxford.
Wow.
Now, Dahryn's powerful divine blessings have reportedly helped thousands of people optimize their lives, improve well-being, and reach new levels of joy and purpose. And whether she's speaking at NASDAQ or being featured on major media platforms, she brings a radiant clarity, humor, and a multidimensional view of human potential that defies categorization. No more talking. Welcome to the show, Dahryn Trivedi. How are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. It's hard to follow that introduction.
Is it though? I don't know.
I'm excited about being optimized.
All right, we've got a lot to unpack
Oh, yeah.
in what you do, but let's set the table first and foremost. Consciousness, that word has been thrown around like cotton candy all over the place these days, right? Can you help us to wrap our heads around so we can set the conversation on the right path? What is consciousness exactly?
Absolutely. Well, a lot of spiritual leaders and a lot of transformational leaders these days, you have like people like Deepak Chopra and everybody who's talking about consciousness as a fundamental reality of existence. And it's discussed in a way that scientists, for example, believe consciousness is a byproduct of the brain, right? And then you have the spiritual side, that involves these transformational leaders and spiritual gurus and everybody who suggests that consciousness is actually, supersedes the mind, supersedes the brain. It's something by which everything else is derived from, right? So it's that you could say that transcendental reality that all of us are a part of, right? It encompasses everything, it pervades everything, it's a part of everything, and at the same time, it controls and governs everything. Now, unfortunately, there's been a lot of talk about consciousness, there's been a lot of theory and philosophy, but there hasn't been a lot of proof regarding it, right? That's why it's still very theoretical. You have Max Planck, quantum physicist, who's like the father of quantum physics, who said that, he considers consciousness as fundamental, right? And then the mind and everything is derived from that plane of existence. So for the first time, that's what we're doing, is we're taking consciousness and we're putting it into a laboratory. We're actually measuring it objectively through real data for the first time, I'd say, and not just like, those quantum experiments where it's about, observing, and we're actually doing hardcore objective data where we're measuring things like materials, we're measuring agriculture, we're measuring, human parameters like neurotransmitters and hormones. We're taking it clinically, right? We've actually taken something that has been so hard to pin down and measure for so long, and I'd say for the first time we're able to objectively pin it down and show that it's actually something that has the power to change our lives and the source of our lives itself.
Okay, this is exciting.
Like, how?
Yeah, this is exciting, right? Because you're talking my language in such a major way. But every conversation that talks about science and metaphysics together woefully falls short, because science, right? The whole thing about science is you need to be able to get measurable results in a repeated fashion, right? You have to be able to repeat it, right? Right. So metaphysics, that's a tough nut to crack, right? It's hard to measure something. Measurable and repeatable results is what you have to get for science.
Right.
So how is it that you are taking this concept, which is consciousness is a metaphysical concept, right? Even though it is the underlying thing of everything. But so how can science measure and repeat the results that gives you such a positive affirmation that, yes, this is legit?
Or like I said, how?
So when we're talking about consciousness, right, for so long it's been limited to subjective experience, right? Which is why, science dismisses it, because subjective experience, right, that's in the realm of psychology and placebo, right? So we have a lot of testimonials. Even, our organization has a huge, vast number of testimonials from people claiming extraordinary outcomes. But what we're actually doing, right? So we're taking the power of consciousness, but what we see consciousness does, if we understand it as like that fundamental reality, right, we can also see it as kind of like a force that programs existence into being, right? So it controls and operates your mind, it controls and operates your life. It tells what a material will become, the destiny of an atom, the destiny of a molecule and of a cell, right? You even get to like the cellular composition of our bodies, right? As newborns or even before then, right? Every cell is the same, but somehow there's a destiny that programs a cell and tells what a cell will evolve and become and turn into, right? And that's something that science doesn't know, what tells the cell what it will eventually become. But somehow the cell has that inherent knowledge. Similarly, we see that in materials, right? Where we see certain materials, right? That's the whole periodic table of elements, is that materials have a very specific set of, characteristics and behaviors. And that is programmed in the atom itself and the composition of those molecular structures. And that is not something, science has not found a way to change the atom. Right? Science has found with a huge amount of energy, we can destroy the atom. We can create atomic bombs. We can create huge amount of, cataclysmic events when we apply a huge amount of power, but nothing has been able to change or transform an atom and make it something different than what it already is. So in order to change something that's already existing, right, you change the programming of that thing, then that thing changes its character and behavior. It changes its potential. When we're talking about human life, when we're looking at changing things at the level of consciousness, what do we see for human life? We see mental clarity, we see peace, we see better quality health, we see better relationships, right? We see all these things are ripple effects of when you alter things at the consciousness level, that programming that controls your life, right? And then when you see things at the level of agriculture, for example, you see greater vitality, you see greater production, you see more yield, more immunity, you see more shelf life without the use of any of the conventional methods used to, produce these things, right? Without any weedicide, fungicide, chemical fertilizer, any chemicals whatsoever, just literally soil, water, air, and the sun, and then this divine energy that can change the consciousness. Then you see atoms, right? You see the molecular structure change, the crystallized size change. You can make the atom bigger, you can make it smaller. All of these are measurable, right? We have all the instruments used by NASA to measure these changes in these materials, and we're able to actually see and measure these changes.
Okay, that's super cool.
So you can, and I might have misunderstood, but you can measure, you can see and quantify the changes.
The results, yes.
But not necessarily what's making the changes?
Well, you make certain assumptions, right? That you put. I guess we're going to talk about how these experiments went in. Like what was the process that forced these things to change?
Yeah.
Because in the introduction, we talked about the fact that you can change things at the atomic level, non-living things, and then organic things at the cellular level. So is it just like thinking good thoughts at it?
It's a little more complicated than that.
I
If
figured,
everybody
but,
could just think good thoughts, then we
My
could probably do
God.
all these things without.
Oh, wouldn't that be great?
Right, Karen. I'm sorry. Those plants that
Gosh,
didn't make
plants
it.
hate me.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with your
try.
good thoughts. I
try,
promise.
I
No. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead. So
I'm sure you had the best intention.
she always does. Yes. Right. Okay. So then, how is it that you are able to affect change in these things?
So this is where we go into the realm of enlightenment, that concept.
Okay.
So enlightenment in a scientific, kind of realm, we're referring to enlightenment as consciousness that has exceeded the consciousness of nature. So nature itself has all these natural laws, right, that are kind of binding, right? You see that you cannot bypass these natural laws. And some of those natural laws are like, the laws of gravity, for example, or the laws like, energy flows from a higher dimension to a lower dimension, right? The laws of physics, these are all the laws of nature, we could say. Right? There's a strict set of parameters, and you can't really go outside of those parameters, right? You have a certain, for example, body temperature, right? If your body goes below that temperature, above that temperature, you enter into a coma, you could die, right? There are many complications when that arises. So nature keeps things, in order to maintain, right, that existence, it keeps things very strict and regulated. Now, that's the consciousness of nature, right? That's the programming of nature itself. Enlightenment is when consciousness of a human, for example, an individual, is able to transcend beyond the laws of nature. And that's when we go into the realm of the divine, right? Because what is beyond the laws of nature, what program the laws of nature, that's where we go into the realm of perhaps the creator, a divine force, a divine authority on this planet. So enlightened consciousness, you can see the effects of enlightened consciousness when someone's reached that level, then through their intention. That's when intention applies, through their intention, through their, desire, we can say, because they are connected to that, consciousness of the divine. Then their intention, we just call it prayer, right? So in this regard, when we're doing these experiments, what we're doing is we're praying over whatever we want, the consciousness to raise. So if we're praying over a particular person, we're requesting that God, this authority that has the ability to change the laws of nature, that created nature so can change it, we're requesting that God, uplifts, raises the consciousness of the recipient. And as a result of raising that consciousness, that recipient has more of the grace of God in their life. That recipient is able to utilize this higher level of consciousness and live a life of greater vitality, of greater wellness, of all these things that you see what happen when you change consciousness. So we call it blessing, a prayer, a blessing, whatever you want to call it. But this comes from enlightened consciousness.
Right. So how do you select your subjects? Just asking for a friend.
How do you select me? I mean, your subjects.
Pretty much. Obviously teasing because we are incredibly blessed already, but in case you need more subjects, you let us know, right? So that sounds amazing. And I know that the work that you and your husband are doing is really, it's probably poised to change mankind, honestly, if people really look at it in that way. I mean, to have this many peer-reviewed studies, and not by like Joe's Garage kind of things. You in MIT, Oxford, Harvard, like some of the bigger, the big places that are verifying these results.
Right.
What has been their reaction to these results? Are they going, no, there must be something wrong? Because traditionally, scientists have had a difficult time with these types of things.
We get so many varied reactions. A lot of it, it's sometimes, no matter how much facts and data you present to someone, there will always be a certain bias that prevents that person from accepting the truth.
Right.
So when my husband first started, right, he's my guru, right? He's a guru from India. So when he first, went through his own enlightenment, his own awakening, right, he was wearing the saffron robes and, and all of that. And he was blessing people because that's what you do in India, right? You take the role of the guru, and he was, performing that role. But what touches me deeply is his belief. He says one of the worst sins you can commit is giving someone false hope. And that started him on this, venture of determining, because he's seeing all these false gurus and all these people who take advantage of spirituality and the void that science has in regards to authenticating and because when science can't get involved in the spiritual, you see a lot of corruption rises. You see a lot of people taking advantage. You see a lot of pseudoscience. You see a lot of scams. You see a lot of people with good intention, but it's actually damaging and hurting people. So he's like, I don't want this to be limited to just people's psychologies, even though he's seeing these incredible results. Right. And people started coming to him, like these major producers, people from the Bollywood industry, politicians. And he left all of that. He already had a well-established, basis, this great reputation in India and all these followers. And yet at the same time, he left all that to pursue scientific validation. He could have come to America and just, worn the saffron robes and spouted some things from the Bhagavad Gita. I say this all the time. If you just know the Vedas by any percentage and you utilize the power of psychology, you could have a mass following. And a lot of people, could give you a lot of money and they could, dedicate their lives to you just on that alone. And instead, he rejected all of that. And he actually sought. Right, he's the first, enlightened guru I've ever seen or met who's actually sought all of this rigorous scientific validation all the way into material science. I mean, can you imagine validating material science, right? Psychology is easy. A lot of the parameters that are used are using either very trivial parameters that you see in a lot of clinical trials that are on, very small, groups of people. It's usually for a very short amount of time, or it's usually measuring very trivial parameters like blood pressure, things like that. And over time, you can even, associate good things with smoking and your blood pressure if you do it within a certain period of time, right? It's not a very credible and reputable scientific form of research, which is why science has denied it for so long. And that's the source of all the problems you see today. All of the problems that are so prevalent among humanity is because we have denied, we have ignored, why we're not paying attention to this vital part of human life, of human existence, of the existence of all of life, really. And when you deny the existence of consciousness and its effect on quality of life and its effect on well-being, you see things, mental health crises. You see things like chronic inflammation and chronic disease, things that medicine no longer is capable of treating. That's where consciousness, we see, is actually able to target and treat and perform unprecedented outcomes in even clinical trials, where we have double-blind, placebo-controlled randomized clinical trials that exclude all possibility of placebo and psychological influence.
Wow. Can you give us an example of one of those trials where you just could not doubt the results?
Yes. One of our most clinical trials, this was conducted in 2019. And we had a large group of people, I think it was close to over 120 volunteers. And these are volunteers that are completely random, right? It's placebo controlled. So we had 3 groups. We had the treated group, which was the group that received the blessing. We had a placebo control, which is a group that, has a sham healer. So someone who's pretending to do a blessing, right? And then we have a control group that's not getting any treatment whatsoever. Right. And even the investigators don't know who's in what group. Everybody has a number. Even we don't know who's getting the blessing. We're literally like, for example, this clinical trial, I'm sitting in Florida, right? And these participants are all the way in India, right?
Wow.
At a clinical laboratory. And I don't know who they are. I don't know their names. I don't even really know what they look like. And we're just told, okay, this is the group. And, I give the blessing to the group. And then after a while, we have a 90-day period and a 180-day period where we measure the results. We measure over 130 blood parameters. So it's not just, people reporting what they feel, the differences, but we actually are measuring things like neurotransmitters, hormones. We're measuring nutrient absorption, right? We're measuring things that most of the time psychological influence has no power over or very minimal power over. And then on top of that, our most significant research that I really want to share with you is something called the NIH Toolbox for cognitive and motor function. Now, this is something that scientists, it's the gold standard for removing all subjective data and just getting down to the hard, facts of the matter. And so this gold standard, it's been utilized since 2012 by all clinicians, anybody doing a clinical trial when they're testing a new therapy or drug. And usually it's just utilized to see if there's any negative or adverse effects from treatments. It's never been used to measure any positive or beneficial outcomes. It's only there to gauge if there's some, radical change in someone's cognitive behavior and say, maybe we shouldn't, push for this treatment on the market, right? Ours is the first study where we've seen around 100% improvement in every single parameter that we've tested in the NIH Toolbox of cognitive and motor function.
Can you repeat that for us, please?
Ours is the first clinical trial that has shown nearly 100% improvement in every single tested parameter from the NIH Toolbox for cognitive and motor function.
Okay, so that's what I thought you said.
Wow.
Yep.
That's it. Outrageously.
Wow.
How is this not mainstream knowledge by now?
Well, we haven't done any marketing. We've spent so much time and so much money. Listen, we're talking about like millions and millions of dollars and
Sure.
so much time and investment because we strongly believe that before marketing, we really want to have a substantial basis of scientific fact and data to properly tell people like this is what this energy is capable of. This is what it can do before we properly market it. And we definitely don't want to make claims about anything related to human health and wellness before we have several clinical trials under our belt. So that's why we've been waiting.
You are on the Skeptic and Physicians now, so cat's out of the bag.
Now we're sharing it with the world. Decades of science research being shared now.
That's just incredible. Holy cow.
So you mentioned something that caught my attention when you said the sham healer.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of conversations out there about if indeed this is all real and works the way you say and all that kind of, and I have no reason to doubt whatsoever.
Right.
But there's a conversation about how everyone can heal themselves and raise their own consciousness and things like that. Is that feasible, or do you need someone like your husband or you who are gurus who can help to give the blessings? Do you need someone to facilitate that?
So I'll put it this way. It's very possible that anybody can, raise their consciousness on their own. I'm not saying that's an impossibility, but I am saying that it's very difficult. Okay. It's not an easy path. It's kind of like, have you ever tried all of these tricks and techniques that are available out there are intended to raise consciousness, to evolve your consciousness. And you see the amount of outcomes that are out there, right? You see you with the amount of, wellness, tricks and practices that are out there, and the increasing, productivity. You see the wellness industry is $1 trillion industry. So you see it's even actually more successful than the pharmaceutical industry. That shows you how,
Wow.
financially viable that
And
is.
we're not getting any of that, baby. Something's wrong here.
We're on the wrong side.
I know. Oh my gosh.
So you see, right, with this void of science, because all the pseudoscience is now reigning rampant, right, there's a huge market. But with this huge market, and it's growing rapidly, but then at the same time, you're seeing another phenomenon where you're seeing mental health problems are increasing as well.
Yes.
So if there's a viable solution out there in wellness and all these other, spiritual, techniques, methodologies, practices, tricks, that are out there, then you would see that maybe this number would be decreasing. Maybe there would be one solution instead of thousands or millions or billions. Right? Maybe there would be something that would legitimately work, and they would, stick with someone. It would really last. And instead, what we're seeing is the exact opposite phenomenon. Now, in the same way, right, we know how difficult it is to change a habit. We know how difficult it is to change things at the brain and body level. And science knows this difficulty. Science still can't comprehend and understand exactly what the brain is or what the mind is. It still cannot map out one human brain. It's still incapable of doing that with all the most sophisticated supercomputers all working together. It still can't map out one human brain. So this is a problem that science knows it has, right? And at the same time, all that science can really do is treat, things on a chemical level within the brain or a structural level within the body, right? It's trying all these different things, and we see that this is like a Band-Aid, right? You're taking medication, you're taking a lot of these supplements or a lot of these things, and you don't actually see a resolution of the root cause. Right.
So it's almost like Western medicine, which is just treating the symptoms and not the cause. They
Exactly.
just give you another pill and, call me in the morning kind of thing.
Right.
So we've been doing this show for a few years now, and we've spoken
Yes.
to hundreds of different people in all sorts of different modalities. And you're giving us a very scientific kind of overview or take on this, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
How does that work along with the people that are channelers and see angels and talk to dead people? Is this something different? Is this the same realm? Is this something that can awaken that? That's a lot of questions.
I would
Sorry.
say this is something that's vastly different from that.
Okay.
That's a misconception a lot of people get from us, is like, that's, when you're talking about what kind of reactions do I get, that's one of the reactions is like, oh yeah, I do Reiki, or I have a Reiki master in my life, or, they put you in the same category as those other things. But what sets us apart, what makes what we're doing different, is the data. Right, is how significant the data is. It's showing you that this is something that is uniquely different in the outcome that we're able to deliver, even just scientifically, but also with all these testimonials we have from people. And so when we get into the realm of consciousness, right, what science is doing, it's treating things at the brain and body level. But when we understand that consciousness is a fundamental reality, then we understand we need to change things at the consciousness level. There's no drug, there's no therapy, there's no trick or technique that can influence consciousness. It's the other way around. Consciousness can give you the most out of whatever practice, trick, or technique you're using. But the tricks and techniques themselves cannot give you more consciousness. They cannot do more for your consciousness. It's the exact opposite. And science has seen that same concept as energy flowing from a higher dimension to a lower dimension. And so I'll give an example on why I insist that this is, something that's very hard to do through tricks and techniques. If you see all of our data, right? Everything. We've done 6,000 science experiments, right? We've done it in life sciences, material sciences, human health, clinical trials, right? We've done it on plants, agriculture, materials, metals, ceramics, polymers, and chemicals. How many of these things use tricks and techniques or practices to raise their consciousness?
Zero. None of them.
None of them. None of them have the influence of psychology. None of them have even necessarily a mind that we can understand, where they can utilize a practice or a technique to raise its consciousness and create these fundamental changes at the level of consciousness that can raise its productivity, raise its efficiency, raise its benefits, its potential. All of these things can change. But there's no trick or technique applied. These people in this clinical trial, right, they're experiencing things like clothoprotein. Have you heard of the clothoprotein?
I have not.
I've not either.
So the clothoprotein is the best we can do to measure anti-aging results, right?
Oh.
So the more length of clotho you have, or the more clotho you have, right? You can say the more vitality you have,
Yes.
We
right?
have
The
heard
more
of that, yes.
longevity, right?
Right, yeah.
So it's like the anti-aging protein. So we use it in, blood parameters to measure, how youthful you are, essentially, or how much anti-aging has an effect, right?
Which is why I've never had anyone measure mine. 'Cause
Out of concern.
yes, very big concern. But anyway, please proceed.
So science, even with all its therapies and drugs, with the best courses of action available, right, with the most validated approaches that science has come across, right, with any trick or drug that we have, we've been able to increase clotho by marginal percentages. Marginal, right? In our clinical trial, we've seen clotho increase by over 600%.
Wow.
That is not possible with psychology. That is not possible with placebo. That's not even possible with conventional therapies and drugs.
So I need to wrap my head around this a little bit, because you're starting to blow my mind. So this is just praying over somebody?
Well, I'll give you an idea of how this can work for somebody who maybe doesn't have an enlightened teacher in their life, that connection, right? That's the easy. I like to say that's the easy and fast path. That's what helped me on my path. Is I actually had this, awakening through my husband, who is my guru.
Who's your guru?
Right?
Mhm.
And so within a year after marrying him, I went through my own enlightenment in 2012. And that's how I've been able to also, do these blessings that I'm also scientifically validating. And now I'm his partner in this mission to, prove the existence of God and the power that consciousness has over our lives. So, and then also use it to actually change lives. We're not just theoretically talking about it, we're actually implementing it. That's why we're focusing on producing, quality food without harmful toxins and chemicals. We're actually trying to revolutionize the agriculture industry. We're actually trying to create products and things available for people. We have our own membership programs, right? We're actually trying to implement and utilize this to transform human life, the life on this planet, and address our most pressing problems we see today.
Right.
So, and that's what, all of the memberships and everything are for, funding all of the scientific research through our nonprofit organization. So, but it's, a very expensive endeavor.
Oh, I can imagine. So quick question back about this anti-aging situation.
Yes.
Will it reverse
Sorry, I get a little
aging?
derailed. I get so
I
excited
know, I'm like,
talking
wait,
about
No,
this. What
she's
can
the
I
one
talk
derailed.
about?
She's stuck. She's a one-track mind, kind of.
Will it reverse aging, or will it just slow it down?
Yeah.
So
Sorry, I didn't catch
Oh
that.
no, I'm saying, will it reverse aging, or will it just slow it down?
We've seen reversal of aging.
Oh, I've lost her. Oh, Dahryn, I've lost her.
Tell me more. Will it reverse aging, or will it just slow it down?
We've seen reversal of aging.
Oh, I've lost her. Oh, Dahryn, I've lost her.
Tell me more.
I'll give you an idea, right? So for some people, right, we see like cartilage, right? There's a phenomena where cartilage starts to fuse at puberty, right? We don't see growing cartilage after puberty. Growing cartilage, right, is your, between your joints. It is the lubrication. It helps, the longevity of your joints, your mobility, right? That's anti-aging. If you can grow and increase cartilage, that's anti-aging, right? That's reversal of aging, actually.
Yeah.
And so we've seen in so many people who receive this blessing, they actually start getting growing cartilage again.
Okay, we got to talk.
My knees are really loud.
I'm talking about my neck from my migraines. Yeah. So I've got spinal stenosis, and that means that the cartilage has worn out and my discs are actually rubbing against each other, which causes neck stiffness and then triggers migraines for me.
Oh,
I could use some new cartilage.
I think
Just
you
saying.
could. I'm in agreement. I think
I'm thinking you might know a guy, you know? I'm just,
I might know a guy.
Is this something that could help with that?
Absolutely.
Like, can you target praying in certain areas, or is it just like an all over? God, I have so many questions.
So when you're raising consciousness, you can also see it as through our prayer, through this blessing, all we're doing is connecting you to the God of your understanding, right? Even if you don't believe in God, this works on atheists too.
Yeah.
So it's absent of belief. It works outside of belief. It's an objective reality, not a subjective one. So it doesn't require your belief or your faith. It doesn't require you to adopt a certain faith. This is something that works outside of that. So whatever your relationship is with God, right? We can even just say that pure consciousness. If you just want to consider God as just pure consciousness, essentially this blessing is acting as a facilitator to deepen that connection. And it's through that connection, right? Essentially what's happening is you're harnessing more of the grace of God into your life. And that presence, that authority, that presence created you. That presence knows everything about you. It's this intelligent force. We've seen its intelligence in our scientific studies. We've seen it give viability to healthy cells while at the same time killing cancerous cells, right? In preclinical research. We've seen it has intelligence. It knows what to do with crops, right? It is able to raise beneficial bacteria in the soil by up to 900% and reduce harmful bacteria by as much as 600%. We've seen it's able to eliminate pests and harmful microbes that damage crops, but at the same time it gives life to those crops. It enhances their immunity. It gives them greater yield. So this energy is intelligent. We're not asking for anything specific when we're doing these blessings. We're simply saying, raise the consciousness of whatever this recipient is. And that intelligent energy knows what to do in your life.
right, which could then avoid anything that's karmic that you're supposed to be dealing with now. Sorry, dude, but your cartilage is gone, right? So, because the
It's
consciousness know
grace.
what, right. I'm sorry, dude, what would you say?
I said it's grace.
It's great, right. So,
Yeah.
but then the question, the underlying thing that you're saying here, and it's beautiful stuff that you're saying, but you keep talking about how you've done this with agriculture and plants and things like that. It sounds suspiciously like you're saying that these things actually have consciousness.
They do. Everything has consciousness.
Everything.
Everything is consciousness.
Rocks and trees and everything.
Well, I guess
Consciousness is in the
organic
very
stuff.
atom itself, and the atom composes everything.
Got it. So it's like universal consciousness.
Yes, that's God, right? Universal consciousness.
So you are then raising the amount. I get it now. Raising the amount of God inside of something.
Yes.
Oh, and then that makes them or that thing raise its vitality because now they have more grace of God inside them.
Yes, it's like the involution of consciousness into that thing.
I got it.
Yeah,
I got
exactly.
it.
You got it.
Okay, so back to the question about whether, I mean, there's only two of you, right? And there's 8 billion of us out here. So, and plus the agriculture and the plants and all that kind of stuff. Is this something that you can teach someone, or you can help them to become enlightened so that they can then help spread these blessings? Or are you guys going to be really tired?
Well, we have one of the things that we're doing is because obviously there's actually 3 of us now, but
Oh, okay. Well, still 3 is a lot of work.
well, but that also shows you that it's not just one person. It's not like a special one kind of person that can do this, right? It's something that anybody has the capacity and the potential to be able to do, right? Anybody has the ability to raise their consciousness to the point of becoming enlightened, right? To becoming a conduit of this grace of God, so to speak, right? So it's not limited to one individual or even necessarily like a special, karmic, arrangement or anything like that. It's what I like to say is, because a lot of people do have that question, is if I don't have an enlightened teacher, I don't have a guru in my life, how can I raise my own consciousness? And there's a concept called conductivity. And conductivity, right? That's where we get into, like, when things are a superconductor, right? That means their ability to channel and harness energy is far superior than something that's a poor conductor. So like for electricity, we have like superconductors. We have things like, metals, or we have things that are, like water, right? Really good conductors of electrical energy. And then we have poor conductors like rubber or like wood. Things like that are not as good conductors. So when we're going into consciousness, a human who is a good conductor for higher levels of consciousness, more of the grace of God, we're talking about what we call conductivity is just purity. It's purity of mind, purity of heart. It's morality and ethics that are aligned with the divine. What the divine, not just what society considers to be moral and ethical, but what the divine considers to be moral and ethical. We call it the divine principles and fundamentals. So that's, that's love, that's compassion, that's sacrifice, that's empathy, right? These qualities automatically improve your connectivity. They allow you to be able to raise your consciousness, right? Your ability to embody these characters is your own level of connectivity and your own grace of God in your life. And when these characters are not there, they're not present in a person, they are poor conductors, and you see they have usually more suffering. It comes with a host of other problems: ADD, ADHD, mental restlessness, depression, sadness. These are all signs of poor conductivity, or we can say just a lower state of consciousness. And we're not saying that this is a bad person. I like to say they're just off the path. They're not on the right track, right? They've gotten confused, right? They don't really know, what to do in their lives. A lot of their nurturing is poor because, let's face it, there isn't really a comprehensive place we can turn to learn about consciousness or to learn about this research, because we've rejected this idea. Even scientists don't really accept consciousness as like part of mainstream science yet, because it's such a, an intangible thing up until now anyway. And so I have a feeling a lot of people, simply through their nurturing, they kind of get pulled off the path. They get pulled away from their own natural innocence. It's your own inherent blueprint, is that purity and that innocence. It's when you're a child, you naturally have that purity and that innocence. And as you grow up, as you go through the different experiences of life, as you face trauma, as you, deal with different, issues, as you learn different ways to get what you need that might not necessarily be the correct or appropriate way, right? You start to kind of devolve or disorganize consciousness in a way that makes you a poor conductor.
Right. So it's almost like a tuning fork, right? And you're using different things like love and compassion to get yourself more aligned with these conductivity frequencies, I guess, for lack of a better term. Is there a place
that can be a good way to see it.
Yep. For this mind, it works really well. But so is there a place that someone can find these divine principles, or are they just understood?
So I truly believe this is a big role that the guru plays in everybody's life. A lot of people say we're past the role of the guru. And while I do believe and I do know that all knowledge, right, your greatest inner guidance is within you, right? The greatest guidance, the greatest teacher, you are your own guru. But at the same time, to get to that point where you're in tune with that, where you can feel it and understand it and know, right? A lot of people think they're even following their intuition, and they're just following their desires that are misguided, and they think it's their intuition. And that's what leads to delays and frustration and unexpected outcomes and pain and suffering. Intuition doesn't do that. Intuition always leads you to the highest, best possible outcome in your life, right? So there's a lot of confusion, mental confusion, spiritual confusion, and a lot of people don't know what the best route or path to go is. And they're so disconnected from that divine presence, from that own guidance system within them that puts them on that correct path or tells them exactly what to do. And they've been told by so many people what the right thing to do is without ever feeling that for themselves. Right. You're never taught as a child how to feel out truth for yourself. You're always taught what truth is. You're always told what to believe. You never get to really figure out what that actually means. You never get to question the system. You're already placed into the system itself. So this is kind of like going back to even questioning the system, questioning the nature of things, going back to the root of everything, and questioning even where that comes from, right? So the guru is like a surrogate. They're like a jumper cable that helps reestablish, right, that foundation within your own being to allow you to feel the soul again. I like to say the soul is like this diamond, and all of our past experiences is like this ice that starts to coat this diamond, and it prevents you from being able to feel that and receive that guidance. And this light, what these blessings too, is not only does the guidance of the guru help align you with the divine principles and fundamentals again, and the more you follow them, the more you are receptive and start to feel them yourself, start to feel truth for yourself. But also these blessings help melt away that ice. They help actually dissolve, right, that old conditioning and those old layers of belief and ways of being, and they kind of reconnect you with that divine presence, and then from that everything flows.
So I want to kind of go back to these tests that you did.
Yeah.
When the people receive the blessings, and let's just talk about the ones that actually got the blessings. Was it just a one-time blessing? Or was it like daily for a month? And did they have to do anything to continue with that?
No, like I said, they didn't even know they were getting the blessing, right?
Oh, okay.
So they had no idea.
There could have been a control group.
Well,
or,
that's
you know,
true.
so,
That's true. Yeah.
no.
Okay. And
Right,
how many you said, was it 2?
Just 2 blessings.
Just 2
So
blessings.
one at 90 days and one at day 0 and one at 90 days, and we measured at 180 days. We measured 90 days and 180 days, and then the baseline was at 0 days to see where they start off with.
Right.
And then we're comparing that with a placebo, right? People who think they're getting something but aren't actually. And so we're eliminating psychology through that. And then we have the control, people who are not getting anything.
So then when you, not with a test, but when you perform these blessings on someone, or the blessing, do they, and they should follow these ways of life, the compassion and love, do they have to consciously think, okay, I need to act this way in order to keep the blessing, or do they just begin to act a little differently?
So in this case, these people that are part of the clinical trial, right, since they didn't receive this, knowledge that they're getting the blessings, there was no education or learning in terms of the divine principles, fundamentals, how to, be a good conductor, all these things. They simply received this outcome just by receiving the blessing itself.
And is it permanent?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, as far as we've measured,
amazing.
they've maintained the results. So, but of course, we like to say, right, there's a difference between short-term benefits and long-term results, and that is obviously how you conduct yourself in your life, right? If you really want to prolong, right, the length of this, either we have people but we still have people even today, all of our clients have come to us from like 2009, 10, and 11, and they've stayed with us since then without any marketing, because for them, this is life, right? They feel a difference. Even if there's a moment where one of our clients leaves for like maybe a few months or a year, they always come right back because they feel a huge, massive difference in their life, receiving the blessing versus not.
Right.
And so this is really just like a supercharged way to accomplish the things that you want, to accomplish well-being, to accomplish a better quality of life, right, with a lot less effort.
So
Wow.
when you talk about clients, I'd love to understand a little bit. What is a client to you? What are they receiving? What are they seeking when they come to you?
So they come to us for every reason. So our clients are people who are part of our membership. So they attend workshops, but most of the time it's just like they attend blessings. They receive these blessings. And there's nothing they have to do to receive the blessings from our side. They just live their lives normally, and then they, receive this energy. And if they really want to, see greater improvements in their own lives, then, purity, innocence, the qualities of following the divine principles and fundamentals. Or some people, we have people who don't even do that, but they still receive the outcomes because they just keep getting more blessings.
Right. Quantity instead of quality. Got it.
Exactly. So we do have people like that as well. And, that's a little harder to teach. It's really has to come from within, the desire to change and grow and become a better human being. But you get the benefits, so I don't know why you wouldn't want to.
Right. Right. So then a client is someone that joins your membership, who gets a membership with you, and then on a regular basis interacts with you or your husband or your, I guess it's a third person now, or is there a larger group of people that help you with this?
No, it's the blessings come from my husband or myself.
Okay.
And so these clients, they come to us for any type of reason, right? We've had clients come to us for, physical problems, right? Huge, chronic illnesses and things that science, they've tried every avenue of science available, every, trick, technique, modality. They've tried alternative complementary therapies as well as conventional medicine and therapies. And they found no outcome or very minimal outcome. And they found more outcome with these blessings than any other area of their life. We've even seen people with chronic, illnesses completely disappear with these blessings. I don't want to make a claim, but that does happen. Right. And so we can't really say for sure what will go and what won't because it's you and divine. But we have seen that happen. We've seen people with severe mental health problems. We've seen people with ADHD come for, better help. We've seen people with depression, anxiety. I'd say we actually get a majority of the people suffering from those issues, emotional trauma, things like that. And they receive huge benefits from this energy. And we see people also suffering financially or in their relationships, right? With my own mother, the reason I ended up finding out about Guruji is she had a huge, my mother, she was very open. She tried everything. She explored every avenue. She was very kind of like hippie-like almost without the drugs. She was like open to everything. She's also very religious. So she's a Christian woman, but she's also very open-minded. So she tried all these healing modalities, anything you could think of. And I always kind of went along with her and kind of enjoyed the experience. It was kind of fun for me too. But she was always looking for a resolution between her and my brother. And as well as her, my father, her husband, but especially my brother. They always had kind of a rocky relationship. There was a lot of fighting throughout, all of my, childhood between the two of them. And they always had this huge problem with each other that never seemed to have any resolution no matter what they tried. We even tried counseling and therapy. Nothing seemed to really resolve this. And she heard about Guruji and the fact that he's doing all this science and was like, well, this automatically is different from anything else. And she went and received a blessing. And I kid you not, she said after one blessing, everything changed 180 degrees. It flipped from one thing to the other. And now they have quite a harmonious relationship. And she said nothing else has been able to do that. Nothing else has achieved that before.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sold. So if I want to be part of your membership, and I do, what's the best way for someone to start that process?
So just visit our website, divineconnection.org. And we have everything there. We have the memberships available there. If you even just want to sign up for our mailing list and stay in the know, learn about all our new scientific research that's coming out. We're also starting food products, which I'd like to share with you a little bit because we've recently actually have a study, a research experiment that just resulted in a publication, peer-reviewed publication. And it's on a chicken and poultry experiment where we're testing because we want to produce, products, food and things that are available for people, right? Who maybe, can't sign up for a blessing and all that, or maybe are hesitant. They don't really want to do the blessing. It's like that skeptical mindset.
Sure.
And so, but at the same time, they'll eat a good value product. They'll eat something that, is leagues above all the others. They'll eat, organic, or they'll eat, something that will make their health better, right? Without even knowing that there's a blessing involved in it. And that's what we're doing. We're bypassing the skeptics or people who are resistant, who don't even want to go any further the moment they hear God and consciousness and blessings, by creating these food products that have this huge alteration in not only their quality and their quantity, right? We see, changes in like polyunsaturated fatty acids, monounsaturated fatty acids, MUFA and PUFA. We've seen huge increments in that. I think it was like by over 100% for each one, which is, incredible for eggs and poultry. And we see like, improvements in collagen and zinc, right? More minerals and more vitamins. And as well as that, people report like in our science experiment, we have people who, are testing the sensory evaluation of the products as well. And there's a huge difference just in the taste, the smell, the texture, everything that's incomparable to even the best quality conventional products we have on the market, right? These eggs, for example, they're creamier, they taste better. People who have allergies can actually eat these eggs, right? We have huge differences in our quality of products. So it's like a way for people to get this energy, get these divine blessings without even knowing it, just by consuming these products.
So it's like the spoonful of sugar.
Yeah.
Makes the medicine go down.
The spoonful of sugar is
Exactly.
the medicine going down.
Right. Wow. That's
amazing.
So you can find all that stuff there on your website then.
Yeah.
For sure.
I'd even, do you have like a quick 5-minute story?
Yeah, totally. Go for it.
I'd love to share this with you. It's actually my personal assistant. She's actually sitting in the room with me. So she's a lawyer. She studied at Northwestern University. She's also a CPA. So she's, highly educated and she's very successful. Where did you work? You worked at Deloitte and,
Wow, Lloyd Touche, yeah.
in a large law firm in Chicago. And a large law firm in Chicago. So, she has a huge, incredible background. And you can imagine she's now working as my personal assistant. So I have, an incredible, overqualified personal assistant. She says it's the best job she's ever had. I can't compare. But the reason why she's here is essentially her story. It's okay if I share it, right? Yeah. Okay, I won't share her name, but I'll just share her story. Is that when she met us, it was around 19 years of age, where she's suffering from huge problems with Crohn's disease, right?
Yeah.
So, that huge inflammatory, like autoimmune disease. And essentially it got to the point, it got so bad that she had her colon removed.
Oh.
Right?
Boy.
And so you can imagine what it's like to live without a colon, right? And she's living, at that point in time before coming to us, she's using the bathroom like maybe, 20, 30 times a day. It was always urgent, and she, traveling, everything was very stressful because, you obviously, need a bathroom near you. You always need to be able to, have that in mind, always thinking about that all the time. And on top of that, a huge number of serotonin, right, is actually produced in the colon and the gut. And so that was removed as well. So you can imagine just huge amount of depression and anxiety and stress, right? And on top of that, none of the drugs were working. None of the, immune suppressants, none of these drugs that are supposed to help with this, chronic problem were actually doing anything for her. So she's living, with huge pain and suffering, constantly in and out of the hospital because she's always having these infections and these problems where she has to go in and get another surgery, get another treatment to, treat this new development, a new, infection that's occurred. So incredible amount of pain, incredible amount of suffering, always, urgently needing the bathroom, miserable, quality of life sucks. It's so bad. And what's happened after receiving these blessings is that, not only is she happy, right? She's very happy and content in your life. She said she felt like she didn't know happiness was even a thing. She didn't think happiness was even possible for her. And she's happy for the first time in her life. And on top of that, right, without a colon, right, you can imagine your nutrient absorption and everything's very poor as well because, a lot of vitamins and minerals are absorbed through, your digestive system, through, the colon and through your intestines. And so she's missing a lot of nutrients and a poor quality of life. And now she's using the bathroom maybe 3 to 5 times a day. Only 3 to 5 times a day. She has no storage system. And she's only using the bathroom 3 to 5 times a day. Her quality of life has improved. Her health has improved. She's absolutely on 0 drugs, right? 0 pharmaceutical drugs, not taking anything whatsoever.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Right?
That's amazing.
Her health, her quality of sleep, right? Or the quality of her skin, her hair, her nails. You can tell that she's, taking in more nutrients. All her blood tests are coming back perfect every time, right? She is living a new level of wellness that she didn't even conceive could happen for her before. If you look at the photos of her from years ago before meeting us, she looks older than she does now. So you're talking about reversal of aging. She actually looks younger now.
Okay, so
I'm in.
yeah,
I have thyroid issues. I would love to get off those pills.
that's true. Yeah.
The CEO of our organization, right? She's helping Gurji run the company and everything like that, right? It's my husband's company and she's helping run it. And she actually had Graves' disease. So she had her thyroid irradiated before meeting Gurji. And so you can imagine, right? Your bone density and everything is affected. Your hormones, all these things is a cascade of problems throughout your life. And before even meeting Gurji for the first time, right? She had a huge issue with her spine, sciatic nerve pain. She just, had a newborn at that time, a toddler that she's taking care of, as well as her mother, who's, suffering from terminal cancer at that time. And so all these huge problems, she can't bend down and play with her child. That's how bad the pain is. And she's only sleeping like a few hours a night because she's taking care of both people. And so, she's exhausted all the time and everything after just one blessing. And it was just a phone call. She heard from a friend, right, that, she heard about Gurji through her, and she ended up attending this, group session where she got one blessing, and then she lay down to sleep that night. She woke up. She thought she had slept all night long. She thought she had slept for like 12 hours. She woke up feeling completely refreshed, and she checked the time. It was only 4 hours.
Wow.
It was a connection that she ended up finding out about, Gurji. But on top of that, when she got up, right, she found that she had no nerve pain, no back pain.
Yeah, I'm getting no. Yes.
Yeah, she's in.
I'm in.
She's in. I think we're both
symptoms,
in.
It hasn't returned since.
Wow.
On top of that, her thyroid, right? Without a thyroid, you're not producing any thyroid hormones, right?
Yeah.
And so, in order to compensate, you're going to have to live on thyroid medication for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Well, recently she just had some blood work done, and she's meeting with, one of her doctors, and they actually have to reduce her thyroid medication from 180, I think is milligrams or micrograms, to like 120, because she's producing some thyroid hormones on her own. And so science says, like, sometimes there are different organs and different, parts of the body that will start compensating, right? You see the brain, when some part of the brain is damaged, other brains will compensate for that part of the brain that's damaged. Well, we start to see like other glands and other, things that produce hormones will start taking over for what's lacking or missing. And this energy has helped facilitate that, to allow whatever is producing that thyroid hormone to help give her that thyroid hormone. So now she can reduce all of her medications.
So then this could possibly help with a hot topic these days, not just because I'm going through it, but with menopause.
Yeah.
Menopause
Oh,
symptoms?
absolutely. We have huge improvements with menstrual health and menopause.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about the guys? Like, what can help? What can help us with?
Low T?
Low
Prostate.
testosterone,
A thing for guys, right? Low testosterone?
right? Not that I would know anything
Low
about that.
testosterone, yeah, testosterone. It definitely, we've seen huge improvements in our clinical trials with like testosterone, estrogen. We've seen huge improvements with, we've seen even oxytocin, right, which is for both sexes. We've seen, I think. I don't know exactly how much you can get through directly administering oxytocin, but it's like, I think under 100%. And we've seen, I think it was almost 400% improvement in oxytocin without administering oxytocin. It was between 200 or 400%. I don't want to give the wrong number, but
Sure. Now, will it give me a six pack? Because I'm really, that's really what I need right
that
now.
requires some effort as well, but it can help make the
It can help
process
get rid of the pony
easier.
tag.
It'll make it easier. It'll give you the motivation. It'll inspire you.
energy.
It'll give you the energy, but also it'll make it easier for you to be able to shed those pounds and gain that muscle.
Wow.
Okay.
Because you're
Now I'm
absorbing
in.
more
Cartilage, it's gonna
protein,
be less
right?
painful.
Yeah,
Right.
more cartilage. You can
Okay,
run
now
faster,
I'm in.
longer.
All right.
And we have a special offer. I don't know if you want to even mention that here or not, but
Let's mention it by all means. Let's go for it.
yeah, so we have a special offer at divineconnection.org/skeptic metaphysicians. And you can, just for people who are signing up for, through your podcast. So it's a very limited time offer. We have people who can receive either 2 blessings from my husband from Guruji or 2 blessings from myself. And we have it's at a huge discounted offer. So we have usually 2 blessings from my husband are around $500, and we're offering them for only $200. And then from myself, they're $400, and we're offering them for only $150. So, and try it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, so
Yeah.
so not only are we going to put your website on there, we're going to add a direct link in our show notes for that amazingly generous offer. Thank you so much for that.
Of course.
And so if you are interested in connecting with Dahryn or Guruji, then just go to skepticmetaphysician.com, go to her episode, go to her show notes, and you'll find that link directly laid in there. So it's easy for you to connect with them by using the Skeptic Metaphysicians part of their website, which I'm really happy to.
Yes, but we do have to remember it is for a limited time.
It is for a limited time.
Limited offer, 1 per person.
Right, limited availability. So it's
Yeah.
not like, don't take advantage. Don't be a
Yeah.
jerk. Just, you heard it here. Go to skepticmetaphysician.com, go to her episode page, find that link in the show notes. You do not want to miss this. This is amazing. This sounds
it's
incredible.
a gift. It's an incredible
absolutely a huge gift. And please thank Guruji on our behalf as well, because what you guys are doing for the world is astounding, and you can tell that it comes from a really amazing place, and we need to get this out there far and wide. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for your
It's
time.
a lot of work, and
Thank
it's
you
so
for having
needed.
me. Thank you. I'm truly happy. You're such wonderful hosts. I enjoyed every second of it. And come on, anytime you want me to, I'll be happy to.
Wonderful.
You know what? We're going to take you up on it.
Absolutely.
Will you?
Absolutely.
Oh, I'd love
Yes.
to be on again. I love it.
Great.
Count on it. We'll talk about
Trust
it
me,
offline.
we just scratched the surface. There's so much more to talk about.
Then let's make sure we do that. So we sign up on this, right?
You got the page written down, right?
Yeah, I do. I got it. All right. Well, this is
Incredible.
mind blowing.
Incredible.
Thank you for coming on and opening up our eyes. I can't wait to
you
try it
for
for
having me
myself.
on.
Yeah, me too.
And here's what we'll do is we'll do it, and then we'll have you back and we'll talk about how our experience was.
Are you going to try it?
No, 100%.
Oh, let me talk to
Yeah,
my husband about it. I'll tell him all about it.
yeah, no question. We're
Yeah,
definitely going to do it,
absolutely.
and we'll have you back on and talk about what we've experienced, because I think that would be amazing.
It would be incredible.
Yeah, if
think
it can make me look like Brad Pitt, I'm all in. Yeah.
I just want to not hurt. I just want to not ache. Wake up in the morning. What hurts
Right.
today?
Right. You know what hurts is that she gave me like this fat chance look when I said that. So okay, that hurt. But okay.
You can edit
right.
that. You can be like,
That eye contact.
Right. AI does of all kinds of
there
wonderful
you go.
things. So,
I can fix that.
all right, Dahryn, thank you so much for
thank
coming on
you.
the show. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. I enjoyed it so much. Thank you so much. You're both so wonderful and so kind and so
likewise.
funny, and you're just so positive and lovely. I love you both.
Well, thank you. It's right back at you.
Thank you.